So today I'm going to be going over how I organize my mods folder and also kind of like how I keep my mods updated and maintain my mods folder in general, just so like nothing's broken. Anytime there's an update, I make sure I don't try to like have the least amount of last exception errors that I get as much as possible. So for starters, this is my mods folder. One crucial thing that I am gonna go over before I really dive into everything is I, like most people, have Windows 11 currently, just because I think last year they stopped supporting Windows 10. But I was a huge fan of the way the File Explorer worked in Windows 10, so I'm just gonna go quick and show you how it normally looks in Windows 11 so you can like see the difference. So this is how the Windows 11 File Explorer like toolbar looks. And the reason it's so important to me is because in Windows 10 you used to be able to move select a large amount of files and then move them to a specific folder without having to like drag it to whatever folder you want it to go into. For example, if I wanted to move all of these hairs by the same creator, I could just do like I could either like right click and then move to, or I could just like do something up here to like move all of those files without having to leave the current folder that I'm in. And the reason it's so important for me personally, just because that's how I like to like, because I download a lot of CC every day and I don't want to have to like manually drag it into mods and then go back out and then go into like clothes and hair and then do that whole thing. Like manually dragging everything is really, really tedious. And it's really, I don't know, I don't like doing that. So what I use is called Start All Back. Basically, it lets you change the way your Windows, File Explorer, your taskbar, Start menu, all of those things, you can change it to different um, Windows UI. So like I could do like Windows 10, for example, or I could do like Windows 7 if there was something in particular that I liked about it. Like currently my taskbar at the bottom down here, I have it as Windows 7, so it has like that glass transparent kind of look, which I personally really like. So you do get like free trials for it. But I had done the free trial and I figured that it was something useful to me and that I really liked. So it's only a one-time payment. So I'm a huge fan. I'm not saying I'm not like endorsed by them or it's not like an ad or anything. Just as someone who like manages a lot of files and moves a lot of files around, I personally really like it. So I prefer to stick to the Windows 10 File Explorer UI, which let me show you. So I have a bunch more options of how I can manage all these files. The main one I use is move to. So let's go back to my example. If I wanted to move all of these hairs by the same creator, it's multiple files. I can just click move to, then I can choose the specific location I wanted it to go to. And then all of these here are just going to be things that are pinned to your quick access. So if I wanted to like add a specific creator to my quick access, it would show up in this move to as well. I don't really do that just because choosing the location is way faster because it already starts you, somewhere within your mods folder if you've like recently moved something or opened it. So I would go to like clothes and hair and then I would choose the creator. So that's how I like move a lot of files and like how like my process of organizing everything. So right now I'm just gonna dive into like the structure of my mods folder. It's totally up to you how you want to do this or like what works best for you. For me, when I very first started playing The Sims, I would always just do I'm being completely honest with you. I would just dump everything into my mods folder. It would just be like complete loose files, clothes, hair, gameplay mods, script mods, all of that stuff would all be dumped within the same folder. And then eventually that was way too chaotic, of course. It was hard to maintain. And then I evolved into divvying up the CC based on like if it's a top, if it's a skirt or if it's pants, and then like accessories. And then everything would be organized loosely within those folders, but at least it would be organized by category, I guess I would say. That also didn't work for me. So it's definitely like a trial and error of like how you organize your mods folder. Now, as you can see currently, I do everything based on category, and then within those categories, I organize by creator. And I like it this way just because I don't have to worry about um, it doesn't require so much thinking to where I have to think about, okay, what is this piece of CC? Is it hair? Is it makeup? Okay, so I have to put that in that specific folder for hair and makeup, or that kind of thing. Um, this just requires the least amount of thinking. So like, let's go to my clothes and hair folder. Um, it's really just like a all around Create-A-Sim folder. So there's accessories, everything that's involved with Create-A-Sim is in here, like things you put on your sim. Now, I do have clothes, and then I do have genetics and like makeup. Um, I mainly divvy this up based on skin details like eyes, like contacts, that kind of thing. Presets, sliders, anything that's like, you know, the genetic of the way your sim looks, I guess, is how I do that. And then also makeup, of course. So, of course, it's up to you, but this is how I do it. So, back to my Create-A-Sim folder. Yeah, I do everything based on creator. And then, even if the creator also makes furniture CC, or if they make mods, they would still have their own designated folder within that category. So, like, let's say Clumsy Alien also made furniture. I don't think they do at all, but like, for example, they would also have their own folder in my Build By folder. So that's just how I prefer to do it. And I feel like it's helps me organize it, and it also helps me deduce like um who made what if I'm ever having issues, or if I want to like delete something or I want more from that creator, I can just go through, and then I usually know like who made it just because it's in the correct category, and then it's made by that specific creator. For anything that's not like Create-A-Sim or Build By or genetics or anything like that, you'll see I have some other folders here. So I'll just go down from the top and then explain what most of them are. I do have a lot of default overrides in my game just because I don't know. I see them and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. And then I just forget about them. So for my default overrides folder, it's a little bit different. It's more of the same of like my other folders, but it's unique in that I also make sure I put what it's overriding. So like I know this 8th Sims 4 nail is going to be replacing the nail file, the nail polish bottle, the lid, anything to do with like the nails. That's what it's overriding. So I like to also put on the folder exactly what is being replaced. And then, like I said, I'm a huge fan of subfolders. I just don't like having a bunch of loose files just hanging out, especially if it's a default override that has multiple files within it, um, or like multiple stuff that comes with that collection, like whatever that creator made. Um, and then also, I also like I think Simcatu is like a unique outlier where they make a lot of animation overrides, so they're like the only ones that have like their own creator folder without anything next to it. But I do have everything organized within those subfolders for what's being overrode, I guess. So moving on from default overrides, I do have a couple of mods just hanging out in the root of my mods folder. And I usually only do that if it's like a very heavy mod, or if that's specifically what the creator um said to do in their instructions. So like I think Twisted Mexi is a good example, especially if you've downloaded their mods before, you might be familiar with this, but like the tool mod and the better build my mod need to be in the root of the folder, and they specifically say that when you're downloading it and like, unzipping the file and all that stuff. So I just put the TMX and the better build by in the root of my mods folder, and I just let it be. Like I don't try to organize it or like put it in any deeper than that. I just let that mod, sit out there. And the same thing for calls out mod, dine out mod. I don't think they specifically said to do that, but I just like to know where it is. I need to remind myself that I have it downloaded. The same thing with the More Students mod. I just feel like those mods are they change a lot with the game. So I want to make sure that I'm aware that they exist. So that way I never forget to update it. That kind of thing. That's what works for me. Disable for random. So this is I don't I don't know where I got this idea because I'm almost certain I didn't come up with this myself, but I'm someone, like I said, I have a lot of cast CC. I don't want my townies to be wearing any of that. So I disable all of my CC for random sims before I even start my game. So like I said, I do download CC every day. And then I also have to make sure if I download any other clothes that it doesn't, no one wears it. Because like the thing with Creative Sim CC specifically and the way townies work is that they will put on, if you download a hair and you don't disable it, every single townie is going to generate with that hair. This is what it feels like to me. So I created a folder specifically for disabling any CC that I download. SimSource Studio is like a very useful tool, and this is what like all creators have to make CC. Is like the main way to get CC into the game. It's like the first step is getting SimSource Studio. It's also really useful for if you're just maintaining your mods folder because sometimes EA breaks the game and the wonderful people who made SimSource Studio also released batch fixes to fix whatever EA broke. So I know, for a good example, when High School Years came out, they added the pillow fighting, interaction on the double beds. But that pretty much broke all of the beds because that new tuning had to be added to all of them. And that tuning was only added to base game and, DLC beds. So that didn't include any CC beds. So any CC beds that didn't have that tuning were broken. Like you couldn't place them, they weren't working, they would just disappear. It's a whole thing. So they made a batch fix specifically for the bed slots. So if you had CC beds in your game, you could just run this batch fix. It would fix all of them without you having to manually fix it yourself. So it's a really good tool for those kind of things in those kind of situations. But basically what I'm going to be going over is how to disable custom content clothes. Anything that your Sims can wear, basically from random townies wearing it. So, and this is why this disable for random folder is going to come in handy. So I go to Open SimSource Studio. If it's your first time installing it, it's going to take a long time just because it has to go through all of the game files, especially if you have a lot of DLC. So just give it some time. It's not broken. It's just you got to let it do its thing. First thing you'll do is go to Content Management, and then under Batch Fixes, and then Create a Sim, and disallow CC. You can disallow CC for random, for cults, aliens, mermaids, all that good stuff. I've tried to disallow CC shoes for barefoot or for shower. It doesn't work because I don't know. It doesn't work for me because if it's not CC shoes, it'll just be whatever base game shoes are in the game. It's more of like an EA Sims kind of bug more than it's a CC problem. But anyway, disallow CC for random. What it's going to do is it's going to show you the file path for your mods folder, which is good. That's what you the general area where you want to be to disable the CC. However, I would say if you have a lot of CC, don't run it over your entire mods folder, especially if you have default overrides, if you have gameplay mods. I don't know. Just avoid running it over your entire mods folder. Not only will it take a really long time, it's going to break some things, especially if you do it when you have default overrides in your mods folder, because those default overrides are supposed to be default for all Sims. So it's going to probably break something within that, especially like default eyes, default skins, that kind of thing. So avoid running it over your entire mods folder. What you can do is you can click Browse, and then we're going to go to that Disable for Random folder. And then we click that here. Disable for random. You can name it anything that you want as long as you remember what it is. And then we're going to select that folder, and then it should update with that new file path. And then when we run it, it takes like 2 seconds because, it'll only be whatever you downloaded that day. And then if it's unable to fix, don't worry. It just means that the creators graciously already disabled it for random sims when they released it. So I just like to do that as a precaution because you never know. And obviously it's nothing terrible if a creator doesn't do this because sometimes, they just forget or that's just not how they designed their CC to be used. Because they maybe personally like their townies like wearing a variety of CC. So I mean, it's totally up to how people prefer to play the game. I personally just like to disable it. Um, so yeah, so this is like a daily thing for me. I do this like every day, and it might seem tedious, but if listen, I run a tight ship, okay? I do not like my Sims being all willy-nilly. I like to micromanage and I like to control what everyone's doing at all times. So I personally like to do this every time before I open my game. It's the same thing along the lines of like deleting the last exceptions or like the local sim texture cache, local dumb cache, like that's part of like my daily routine before I even open my game is like disabling CC for random, then also deleting these things as well. So let me go do that now as well. And that's also in your Sims 4 folder. It's like right outside your mods folder. If you just go back one, it'll be the stuff down there. Anything that says cache, you can delete. I don't typically delete the avatar cache. I just do everything that's like looped together down here. So it'll mainly be any last exceptions, sim texture, and thumb cache. And then sometimes if you peruse the gallery a lot, you'll have a cache folder. It'll be right above this one right here. It'll just be cache. And then if you open it, it'll be a lot of gallery thumbnails and yeah, just like gallery thumbnail images and stuff like that. So it's definitely safe to delete that as well. So let me do that again. Yeah, so that's disabling for random. And now I can finally get to what I was doing like 2 times already. I'm gonna organize this and put this in the creators folder that I made for them. So I'm gonna do select all of it, click move to, choose location, and then not gameplay mods. We want it to be clothes and hair, and then it'll be in the apps, and then I'll move it there. Gameplay mods is the main folder. I'm of the philosophy that it's kind of like the user's responsibility to maintain their mods folder, especially if the mod creator is, up to date and like putting out updates and all that kind of stuff. If you ever have any issues, I feel like you should make sure that you've read the instructions because they pretty much list everything. Like I would say they're pretty good about detailing what the mod includes, like what does what. I know there's some where it's kind of like you kind of have to just dive into it yourself. Like it's a very detailed mod, so they probably can't go over everything that the mod entails, but I would say for the most part, I would make sure that you know the gist of what the mod is changing and what it's overriding as well, because that's what a lot of these script mods do, is that it kind of overrides some of the basic functions of the game or it adds to it. So I would definitely make sure that you are aware of what you're downloading. But for my gameplay mods folder, this is also kind of a unique case. It's different from the way I do like my build by and create a sim. I do it by creator, but because I have a lot of script mods and you can't have scripts more than I think one folder deep within your mods folder, I just do the creator. I'll have like whatever collection or whatever CC, whatever mod pack I've installed. I'll make sure it's in its designated folder, all the package files and everything. But anything that was a script file that came with this mod, it goes directly into gameplay mods because that allows it to be seen when the game is running and reading through your entire mods folder. If I were to put it, um, within another folder inside my gameplay mods folder, it wouldn't work. So always make sure that your script mods or your script files are no more than one folder deep within your mods folder. So having it outside, hanging out within gameplay mods is still able to be read. But if I were to put any of these any folder, one folder deep or more, it wouldn't work. And then with script files, it's kind of hard to explain, or like script mods when it comes to updating them. Let me see if I can come up with like a really good example to like so I can show rather than just like explain it with words. Okay, I can't think of any better example other than MC Command Center just because I feel like this is like a universal mod. I feel like everyone has MC Command Center, especially if they're like just getting into using mods. It's like the number one mod that you should download. So it's really common. So I feel like this will be like really easy to explain. So say that they just put out a new update and I wanted to download it. I also have it so that whenever I download something, it'll let me choose exactly where it's being downloaded to. And you can do that from your browser settings. So settings, and then I'll just type in download. Oop, that is what? What am I typing? Downloads. And then it'll say save files to, but it says always ask where to save files. I have that checked so that way I get that file explorer pop up anytime I download something so I can just put it directly into my mods folder. Okay, so I just downloaded the updated version of MC Command Center. Obviously, it's just an example, but I'm going to move this to gameplay mods and then MCC. And then I'm going to extract. I mainly like to extract to. So when it has extract to and then the like file name with the slash, it just means it's extracting to its own folder. And a lot of the times if you have like multiple zip files, if you have multiple zip files selected, like so say for example, I know I have one within this folder here, which I'll go over in a second. But so if I had multiple zip files and I wanted to extract all of them to their own folders, I would do zip and then extract to. The little asterisk symbol means all in like computer language. So all to its own folder. And that way it's just going to do everything to each individual folder. And that also helps me organize my CC a lot faster. So I'm going to erase what I just did and then we're going to go back to the gameplay mods folder. Hopefully this isn't too confusing. Like hopefully you're along for the ride and everything is making sense to you because I'm not the best explainer, okay? Okay, so we're gonna extract the MC Command Center to its own folder. I'm gonna delete that zip file now that it's empty. And then what I like to do is, it's already organized that way, but I like to organize by type. So that way I can clearly see what's a script file and what is a package file. So doing that, I'm going to select all of my TS4 script files and drag it to gameplay mods. I don't typically use the move to just because, I mean, I can clearly see the file path. I mean, I don't have to like go any further than that. So I just drag it, all 13 files. You have to remember how many have selected because we're going to be replacing what's already there within gameplay mods. So if it's your first time downloading it, obviously you won't get a pop-up to replace what's there. But say it's patch day and they just released an update. If you're updating all of your script files, you would select all of them, move it to gameplay mods, and then it's going to ask if you want to, it's going to say you have 13 files within gameplay mods with the same name. So it can clearly see the file name is the same as what's already there in gameplay mods, and it's the same number of files that I selected, which is good. So we're going to replace all the files in the destination. And then we're going to move this MC Command Center package out one, so into the MCC folder. And that's going to replace the package file that I already placed there. So that's like a good example of like how I update my mods, or like the process of it. As long as you get the gist in like your own mods folder, you can do it any kind of way that makes the most sense to you. But the main goal is just having all of your mods up to date, and making sure that you don't have like duplicate script files, because I would say having and maintaining script files or script mods is like, you got to know what you're doing, okay? Because like um I feel like script mods are kind of, they change a lot, and it can lead to your game glitching or like messing up. So yeah, that's how I organize my gameplay mods folder. That's pretty much the gist of it. Everything's organized by creator, and then all my script files are hanging out in gameplay mods, in the root of the gameplay mods folder. So moving on, I do have some folders that are specific for like specific mods. So like Horse Ranch, I really don't play with horses that often, but sometimes I do like to dive into that save. But I have them hanging out in the root of my mods folder, so that way if I'm trying to, reduce space and I don't want any of those mods, or I just don't want the mods period, I can just delete it, and I don't have to worry about figuring out who made what Horse Ranch mod and like all that kind of stuff. So I just prefer to do it this way, especially because I just have so few of them. Um, so you can do that for anything that makes the most sense to you. Like I know before I used to have a subfolder specifically for all of the eco lifestyle bugs and annoyances that I had. So you can just do anything. For lots, it's not exactly what you think. So, of course, tray files go in your tray files folder, but if I'm downloading a lot of lots, or I'm like going on a CC spree and I see a lot of lots that I really like, what I like to do is put them inside this lots folder. That way I can just extract all of them and then move all of the tray files at once into my tray folder. Okay, so like say for example, I had these two lots that I wanted to download. If I were to extract them here, because I don't want them to go to their own subfolders, I just want them to have all of the tray files just all listed together. So if I do extract here, it's just going to have all of the tray files hanging out, and then sometimes some lots have like CC with them, and then I can just divvy and organize the CC, as I choose. But for me, I just like to have all the tray files together. And then I do my move to, choose location, and then I just put it in tray. And I like doing that just because it's, faster. It's more efficient for me. There we go. And then if I had any duplicate tray files, of course, it would definitely let me know. And I would either skip or replace whatever those files were. Test mods, this is another folder that I need to be a bit more responsible with organizing, because some of these have been sitting in here for months. I think this is like the only mod that I've downloaded recently that I'm still like kind of testing out to see if I like. But this is where I put the mods that I'm kind of just like trying out, doing like a test run on them to see if I like it, or to see if it causes any issues in my game or anything that annoys me or bothers me, especially if it's like my first time downloading it from that creator. Now, that's not the case for all of these mods in here, but I know this one specifically, the Scientist Career mod, hasn't been updated in a really long time. So I put it in this test mods folder because I was playing a scientist and I wanted them to like, have longer hours and whatever. But I just wasn't sure if putting an outdated mod in my game would break anything. For the most part, it seems to work just fine. So I could probably realistically move it to its own folder within gameplay mods. But like I said, just let it be. Okay. Yeah, but that's pretty much how I organize my mods folder. And I think I went over everything I wanted to go over. If you guys want more like basic like tutorial videos or like just simple like explanation videos like this, definitely let me know because I'm sure I have a lot more that I could come up with. I was thinking of doing like a Lot 51 Fashion Authority video because I did get a question about that. So yeah, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching if you watched to this point, and I will see you guys in the next one.